We're Gina and Lindsay.
And this is First Wife Life. Okay, so we have our first guest on the podcast today.
I'm so excited.
Jess from First Wives Club is here. Mm-hmm. And part of the podcast will always be having women on and sharing their stories. So there's no better person to start than with you.
Thanks, guys. I'm excited to be here. I got to apologize, though, because I have 2 children, and so I definitely have a little bit of a head cold. So don't mind me with the coughing and the cough drops during this
season.
But I didn't want to miss out. I didn't want to cancel. But yeah, I'm Jessica. I live in now Grapevine, Texas, which is like outside of Dallas. Let's see. I'm 35. I got 2 young kiddos. Member of the First Wives Club. Very proud to be a member of over a year now.
Yeah, it's been a year.
We've all been connected.
A year and a half.
It is.
It was summer.
It was
of
September
last year.
Of 2024.
When you came on, though, because so let's first say how we got connected.
Okay. So I got connected because in August of last year, I finally made the decision to leave my marriage. Dun, dun, dun.
What was the, why?
Why?
The final straw.
The final straw.
And how long were you married?
Yeah. So I was married for 5 years. We had been together for 10. And he was great. You know, in the beginning, I was super young and really exciting. We actually met here in Chicago. This is where I'm from. So got to live downtown and do all the cool things. You know how it goes, guys, when you're in your 20s.
Did you guys meet in college or not? I thought you did.
Right after college.
Okay.
So I had just graduated from graduate school, and he had just graduated from a program that he did. And so we were like young 20s, living that whole dream life in the city and everything. And, you know, it just kind of escalated from there. He kind of embodied for me a lot of, like, what I had never experienced as, like, growing up. Like, so he kind of provided me that outlet of what I thought future Jessica wanted. You know, like, that big, shiny life and really expensive things and travel and, you know, just new experiences that weren't anything I had done before. And we were together for a long time before we got married because we had a little bit of tumultuous ups and downs during that time.
Did you date for 10, married for 5?
We dated for 5.
And then you were married
for 5, yeah. Really 4, but like, you know, all the half year stuff. So I just round up to 5. And during that time, we moved to Dallas for a job transfer and all of that jazz. And, you know, just as things unfolded, you know, I know we're not sharing a ton of details, but I think going through a lot of things that people, especially young women, experience, there started coming out of the woodwork a lot of, you know, like verbal abuse and things like that, maybe some little dabbling into the domestic violence things. None of this, though, was apparent to me. I was kind of just living in this world of, like, not really knowing what was going on. I knew that we had these, like, dark times in my brain. That's kind of, like, how I cataloged it. But I was super uneducated about relationships and healthy relationships and emotion and how, like, we hold on to emotion and emotional trauma and things like that. I didn't learn any of that really until I was introduced to you guys. So I was just kind of going through these, like, periods of super high highs and then super low lows.
And you had never told your family about some of that stuff, or your friends?
Yeah, no. I
can't believe that
super closeted about all that
this
kind
is
of
so
stuff.
new for you because you like really took to it so quickly.
Oh, it's something about me. I love a research project.
She jumped in.
I literally, well, I think that's the can I say my profession?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so I'm a teacher, and, you know, pre-kids, pre-marriage, pre all that, I was, like, really studious. I went to graduate school. I have multiple master's degrees, and I just really enjoy understanding the why behind things happening. And so it's interesting also to think back and reflect on myself of, like, I allowed things to happen to me without really teaching myself about it because I was just so in the trenches of wanting to protect that facade, which has a word, by the way. It's called fawning, which we'll talk about later on in the story because I learned all this. But, you know, I just thought it was my responsibility as a partner to kind of protect the outside facing look of the relationship and that person. And it was very much ingrained into me by others that like what happened in private was private and that we shouldn't talk about it. And I was then felt very fearful to talk about it. And I think, now looking back, that kind of sets the tone of like, deep down, I knew then how bad it was, because I almost kind of feel like if I knew other people would feel weird about it, then it probably wasn't good. But
and
I
wasn't such an open book, and you're good at sharing.
Know.
So it's like if you weren't
I'm almost
sharing
an oversharer.
Yeah, so if you
Aren't
weren't
we
sharing
all?
it, then you know if you knew it probably like wasn't right. And you're so close with your sisters. I feel like they know everything.
Super close. And that was really hard and put a huge strain on my friendships, my family relationships, as things in my marriage got more escalated into those dark times, like we're saying, then I was pulling away from all those other relationships because it was like more work to hide and keep that facade up. And I think deep down I knew like my husband wasn't well, right? But I also didn't know how to help, right? I thought I was doing all the best things I could do as a wife, as a mom. But I think looking back, like I was still in that mindset of like, well, maybe if I, like all women do, maybe if I just looked better, got thinner, or worked harder, or took more off of their plate, then they could rise up and overcome their individual challenges that they were struggling with and their demons that they were fighting. And I kind of was on this like, I have to slay everyone else's demons. So I'm kind of ignoring my own inner voice and my own inner guidance of like what was supposed to be happening. So, you fast forward the whole 9 yards, like the wedding, the big engagement, the whole big thing, having kids. And looking back too, I think having kids almost was in a way what I thought was a fix, right? Like that might help get us out of those dark times if we could have children. And then you guys know, because everyone here is a mom, like kids add stress, and trying to have a family adds stress. We had challenges. I had challenges getting pregnant. Both times had to go through a round of IVF, which is super emotional and physically taxing for a woman. And then you add in a partner who's not the most understanding or,
supportive.
It kind of adds
use nice words.
Nice words. And so it just like time got away from me. And I think I had tried to leave 3 times. And I was successful on the third.
So the other 2 times, you already had children?
No.
Oh, you tried to leave before you had kids?
So I tried to leave 2 years in when we weren't even engaged. But like there were things happening where I was like, holy moly, can I spend the rest of my life trying to live like this, or is it normal? And it was my first, grown-up relationship, my first experience. You're 23, 24, and you're thinking this is your great love and all that, the things that you read about and watch in movies. And, the type of love and situation I was in with abuse was very much like that love bombing, right? Where it was as much as the dark was dark, the brights were freaking solar systems. They were so beautifully bright. And so it really clouds what your reality and your distortion of reality of how bad it was. And so that was something to wade through, even post, like even in the after that we're all living in now. I still will struggle with like those happy memories and those moments, and have to like the light and the dark constantly is battling of like, even in the brightest of brights, then there was that, that fire, that darkness that was kind of clouding even those moments. And so like how to wrestle with myself of like, is that a good memory or a bad memory? Or is it both? And it can be okay being both. So that was the first time I tried to leave. So I was year 2. And then the second time I tried to leave was after my first child and before my second. And that one I got real serious, like called divorce lawyers, publicly told, not everyone in my family, but like I reached out to my dad. His parents were involved in those conversations, etc. And I was living in a hotel with our child at the time. And that was for like a week. And then ultimately, like the whole, you guys know with the love bombing and stuff, how the cycle goes. And that was enough to convince me, like, it's going to get better and this and this and this. And so I trusted that person that was going to change and things were going to happen, et cetera. And so I went back.
And what about your families? Like, were they also trying to promote you guys getting back together?
Yeah, definitely not mine. It was just my dad at the time. And, you know, he has daughters. And now as a parent myself, I get it, right? At the time, I couldn't understand his perspective because that was my husband and that's my person I'm supposed to be defending, right? And standing next to. And so it's hard to change that position. I think that's why a lot of us struggle to get out of situations that aren't good for us anymore. So he was like, listen, I'll trust you. At that point, he also didn't know 100%. The veil was still kind of down on the intensity and reality of some of our situation. And similarly to his family, also I had kept the veil down. They had gotten a little bit of a glimpse behind, though. And so they were obviously very much like, we don't want you guys to get divorced. We are pro you, pro the kiddos, pro future. But like, we're starting to understand, like, okay, maybe it's a little bit more serious than what we thought as well. So that was in 2022. And then fast forward to the year 2024, I had a daughter. She was born, which is great. And really, she was the catalyst that changed my thinking, her and my son. Because as the intensity amplified on the things happening at home, as you guys know, kids, right? They're going to expose it all. And so things were happening with our children that were starting to show the realities of behind the curtain. Excuse me. And so that really put the seed into my mind of like, I want their future and their reality to look different. And I kept asking myself that question of, if my daughter comes to me one day and asks, is it okay that things happening to me, what answer would I give her? And that was like glaring for me after her birth.
Did you watch It Ends With Us or read that book?
I had not, and I haven't. Obviously, a lot of people have recommended it. I think it'll just hit too close to home. I know the storyline, and it's popular enough.
Because it's exactly...
Did you write it?
Yeah,
no,
it's exactly.
But I think that's important because it's a lot of our lives. And that's something else I've learned through this experience is I felt so alone and on such an isolated island. And it really wasn't until I got connected with you guys in that September that I realized how many more people share the exact same story or some variation of our story. And we're all just living behind this veil and this curtain, especially with the amplification of social media, right? Like, we definitely don't want anything getting out because then it's like that digital footprint. And so it's just interesting how much of it now that I freely talk about it with people one-on-one, that they've hidden and veiled and do the same thing that I was doing. Like, it's really interesting. I mean, obviously I haven't done the research, but I'd be curious with our generation, especially because I feel like the generation before us was very much in the mindset of like, you stay. It doesn't matter. And that became apparent as I told older generations my story, and they were like, oh yeah, I mean, that happened to me, but like, now we've been married 80 years and I just stayed. And I'm like, what? Like, yeah, I knew that wasn't great, but we stay anyways. That's our duty as that word wife, right? It's like almost like it replaces the word woman in a way that like that comes secondary.
That was a bit.
I know. I was like, oh, why
But
did
it
we do
does.
that?
Like that label becomes second.
Yeah.
Even mom, in a way, sometimes they want wife to be first. And that is very tough. So she was the catalyst And boy, let me tell you, she's a hellion. Now that she's almost 2, I'm like, woo, okay, I see. You were the fire that literally had to come out of my body to set me ablaze. Like, she's going to tear down the world, and I'm going to watch and cheer for it. Like, bless whoever comes across this girl, because she is going to be hell on wheels, and I'm loving it. But so she was a catalyst, and then interestingly enough, like, her birth also amplified the realities of our home life in a not good way, because my husband, who now him and I have come a long way in our relationship, also in the after is what I call it. We're in the after now, and I'm super proud of him. He's come a long way, and he's on his own journey, and me and the kids, we will stand and support that journey 100%, and he knows that. But, having our daughter really was hurting him and his demons, and he was really in the thick of it. And then that was amplifying the negative of our home life. So my urgency level was ramping up of like, I have to get us out, and I have to get me and the kids somewhere safe, because things were getting a little bit too dangerous, a little too dicey.
And how old were they when you packed up?
3 and 9 months. Mm-hmm. And so then the packing up and the choice. So once I had decided to leave, that was when the scary stuff started, right? It's easy to say, I'm going to do it. But then the realities of what that means and what that looks like, especially too, I think as women, we're not the financial breadwinners, and we don't have control over the finances. It was, okay, who can I trust enough to tell my plan to leave that they're not going to tell my husband, because that could backfire for me and the kids as well. And then how do I logistically do it? I also think it's important to acknowledge that, like, I am super privileged in the sense of what level of support I had to reach out to that protected my privacy and the kids' privacy. I also have the privilege that I was earning my own money because I was employed separately from just being a stay-at-home mom. I think that helped secure my identity and stuff in a way that I can't imagine how women who don't, because they're sacrificing so much as being that stay-at-home mom already. So like that kind of helped give me a little bit more of a privacy to make moves happen. So I could use my work accounts, my work emails, my work, storage systems to save things I would need without him finding it to get out.
Well, they say it takes the average woman in toxic relationship 7 times to leave, and that doubles or triples if you're financially dependent on the partner. I believe it. So the fact that you got out on 3rd try, you're superwoman.
Yeah, but I think it's because of who's in my life, right? Yeah. I had people financially willing to make sacrifices to get us out. Mm-hmm. That I, because they're people who would never take money back. But like those are kindnesses that I can never repay. Yeah. Financially maybe I can one day, but like it's so much more than that. So once I had decided to leave, there was like a few moments that solidified it, where I was like, okay, it's now or never kind of moments. And that's when I made the decision to come clean to my family, which was probably the hardest thing. It's a lot easier to tell strangers. Have you noticed? Like, you're sitting in a restaurant, sitting at a bar, and you can just trauma dump because you're like, oh, no, I'm not going to see anyone again.
Well, I think you knew once you told your family the truth of what was happening, they wouldn't let you go back.
There's no going back.
So it was like, this is going to be final if I'm going to tell them what it is.
Yeah. And that's what it was. And then that's really when I started educating myself on the correct terminology and vocabulary. So that's when I obviously connected with my lawyer, which funnily enough, I went with the same one I had met with in 2022.
Oh my God.
So she already had kind of knew my story and this and that. And then the plan kind of took shape, and it was elaborate, and it was so many moving pieces, and I have made myself sick the days leading up, like so many times, because I literally the morning we were scheduled to leave, I was like, am I making the right decision? Like, was ready to pull it and just stay.
And this is because you're living in Texas and your family's in Chicago, and you needed to leave the state.
I didn't have anyone in Texas Well, I didn't know if I had anybody in Texas who could, one, handle the responsibility of taking on a mother and 2 children. Like, that's a huge ask of a friend. And I didn't have any family in the state that wasn't connected to my husband who would have encouraged, me to try and work it out. Because at that point, I had my mind made up that, like, divorce was what I wanted, and I didn't want to be put in a position to change my mind.
And you didn't know what big reaction was going to come from that day. So you don't have people there to referee or something.
Yeah, that's a big ask. Like, hey,
you can't just ask your neighbor, like,
do you mind coming over just in case? Like,
no, the house burns down. Yeah. We need somebody here.
You never know. Because I think at that point, my ex-husband, he would probably agree. Like, we didn't know where the limit existed, and that was the scary part. When you're struggling your own demons, you might not know, and so even it's that part of it is really not a fault of his own, because I don't think he even knew his limit, and so he couldn't promise one way or the other at that point because he wasn't in a healthy place himself to make that determination. But so yeah, morning of, man, I almost backed out, but...
Where was he that day? At work or traveling?
No, he was out with friends at an event. Oh. At an event on the weekend, yeah. And that actually helped solidify it, because things happened prior to where I was like, no, I'm making the right choice. But, so we did it. We got in the car, drove away, came all the way here. That was a Sunday. And I appeared in court on a Tuesday morning. So by the time
you drive by yourself?
Wait, can we talk about the?
Oh yeah.
Well, you had the kids with you.
I did have the kids,
but
yeah.
it was just you and the kids in the car.
Yes, but I flew. So this is where all those family dynamic pieces come to play.
But I thought the baby was only 4 months when you left. But then you made your divorce plan when she was 9 months. Oh my gosh,
you're right.
Okay, I was like, she was not 9 months. She was a
you're
baby.
Right. I'm so sorry. She was only 2.5 months. You're right, because she turned 3 months when the day I went to court. Oh my gosh, she was a baby. That was crazy. Yes, you're right. My dates are all wrong. So no, we left and we drove and stayed at a friend's overnight, and then I left my car in like a lot, and my dad flew down and he got it and drove it back, and the kids and I flew.
Can we talk about how you felt on the plane?
I thought I was going to jail for kidnapping.
Which is so funny once you survive it. That was not funny that day, but that's 2 years ago.
Going through it.
Well, Texas is another beast, and the rules are different in Texas.
And I was so uneducated. I only knew what was being told to me by my ex-husband, right? So the threats seemed very real and very scary when you don't know the system and you don't know your rights as a mom, as a woman, and whatever. And I literally, I'm sure I paid $1 million for it, but I had my lawyer on the phone that Monday morning. I had my Illinois lawyer, and I was like, when I land in Chicago, are there going to be police like ready to arrest me? And he was like, no, get on the airplane.
But how long did it take your ex-husband to realize you were gone? Because you left Sunday, you went to the friends, you flew out one day.
Sunday afternoon, he
arrived home.
Mm-hmm. He arrived home. And I had sent a message, so he knew we wouldn't be there upon his arrival.
Oh, okay.
My lawyers gave me a statement to say, and that's what I said. So he didn't know where we were. I let him know we were going somewhere safe. He obviously knew that meant Illinois because he knows this is my safe place. But yes, that was a lot went down that night, a lot. And that's where like access to finances and things like that become important, because immediately those were cut off from me. So immediate.
They all do the same things. Like my friend that we just went out with Friday night just got served 3 months ago, and that was the first thing. Like, cut off all the credit cards, reported
immediate,
fraud,
your access.
And that's it. That's just their low-key.
Well, because I think it's like that's something they have control over in a situation that feels uncontrollable.
Totally.
And so, like, and the good news is I knew that was going to happen. I expected it. I could plan for it. You know, we're moms. We love to plan. You think of every scenario to have in your emergency bag. And so I had thought that through, and I knew I wouldn't have a cell phone. I knew I wouldn't have cash.
He cut off your cell phone?
Yeah, but he turned it back on eventually.
Oh, so kind of
But
him.
he did that often, right? The on and off with the phone.
Yeah.
So she was used to it.
Yeah, I was used to it. She had a
Oh
burner.
my God.
I did not have a burner.
She brought her phone for Wi-Fi.
So did not have a burner. But like, see, those are things I could predict. Like, time had taught me what to expect in certain situations. Really, I felt much better upon landing here because I was immediately like had the family support system like surrounding me, and we had a plan. Like, I had attorneys here and we knew kind of the legality side of what was next, which is also scary because navigating the legal system when you have no knowledge of it is wild.
Well, plus you also had a Texas attorney, so they were communicating.
Yes, they were, and that's not common. And I think that that's like another thing that just happened. Like, you know, the universe gives you gifts. Like, that was a gift to me, that they were both willing to talk together and with me, like on Zoom calls, on phone calls. And so it really was like this collaboration of what we thought would be best for the kids and I. And we knew going into it what we would probably end up not like having to give concessions on, which ended up happening. So, you know, it was good. They were never unrealistic with me. They were very much like, this is the reality of both legal systems across state lines and what's probably going to happen. And so it was nice not being fed false expectations going into it, which was helpful.
So then you came here and stayed for a little bit.
I did.
Because you were eventually forced back to Texas.
Yes. Yeah, that was one of the concessions, which I knew going in. They made it pretty blatantly clear, like, Texas has really strict laws on, like, if you get married and your marriage occurs in Texas, and that's like this state of residency, that 9 times out of 10 you'll have to reside there if you're.
But I thought you got married here.
No, we got married there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, ladies, if you're in love,
stay away from Texas
in your home state, and then you can move for your husband's job or whatever.
Just stay away from Texas, though.
To be honest, I don't mind living there. I like it.
I saw that in
No, I'm
Kentucky.
talking about for divorce and custody stuff.
Yeah.
Just for custody shit with court, I feel like Texas is a nightmare.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
but they
very
said
pro
Kentucky
dad.
has gotten so 50-50 with parenting time that divorce rates have dropped 25%. So now women are just staying so that they don't have to 50-50 their parenting
that's the
time.
other thing about it is like the custody side of it, because I knew going in the only thing I wanted were my kids. Like, all the rest of it, like marital assets, this and that, like, I'm employed. I have a very employable career. I can get a job anywhere. Like, I'm going to find a way to make it work. And so that's really all that mattered to me. But you have to have a hell of a lot of stuff to get, like, less custody. You know what I mean? Meaning, like, for a dad.
Documentation.
Yes.
And you have
and you
spreadsheet,
did it,
baby. Tell everybody about Google Sheets. and
Google
your
Sheets.
notes.
All I'm saying is, like, that was not even my idea. That was my attorney. And that was something she recommended back in 2022, the first time we met. She was like, I'm just telling you, whatever you're going to do, you need to find a way to document it, because at the end of the day, like we all know, life is just a he said, she said at the end of the day. And unless you have something that shows the reality and the extensive nature of what some of us go through, it's just your word against theirs. And so I did. Again, the educator in me, like, data collect for a living, so I just simply data collected.
And you started in 2022. Like, when she told you that's when you started documenting. Because you had, what, like
years.
over 60 pieces of evidence?
100. We had submitted like over 100 pieces.
What courts care about is patterns.
Yes, and I think having the timeline so well mapped and in so many different circumstances that it's, you know, the pattern was there.
And where did you keep? Was this in like your hidden files on your phone?
No, I kept it all through my work association, so that way it wasn't like accessible.
So then when you went back he moved out and you were back in the house, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the kids and I moved back to the house.
But that was 3 months later.
Yeah. So we got here in September and we didn't move back till mid-January. So we were here for a while.
Yeah, we had 4 months of being neighbors.
We did. It was really great.
But can you talk about when you first came here and you had to go to court that first time?
Oh my gosh. So tough. First of all, I had never been in a courtroom. If you know me as a person, you know I'm adamantly a rule follower. I am terrified of authority. Like, not even a speeding ticket. Like, I'm so scared to get in trouble. And so, like, going to court, even knowing you're not in trouble, felt super scary. And then you have the kids, and it's a whole thing. And because I was crossing state lines, I had to show the courts that the kids and I could remain in Illinois while everything was in process because of safety. And so that's what I went for on that very first day. And I'll never forget, it was super powerful. I had, my daughter was only 3 months old. That day, I was wearing her in a baby carrier, and she was asleep. And they make you go up. Like, I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but it's really like what you see on TV, where you go in front and you have to sit on a stand. And at this point, I'm still in one, like, survival mode. I'm like, haven't slept in days, and I have no idea what's happening, and I'm so scared. And then 2, it was before I had a lot of the education on language. So I wasn't even really sure still what to call what I had experienced. I just knew it was bad.
And you were so postpartum.
Yes.
3 months.
Yeah.
And nursing, breastfeeding.
And
there's a lot of
all of the things.
Was your ex in the courtroom too?
No,
Okay.
he wasn't.
Are other people in the courtroom?
Yes.
Like, are there strangers listening to this?
People, yes. And my dad was there. He took me there that day. He was in the courtroom, and that was the first time publicly he saw the physical evidence, because you have to submit the artifacts of the videos, the pictures, etc. And so that was the first time he saw it point blank laid out, presented. And that was the first time somebody told me, as I'm recounting it, the judge was the one who used the term domestic violence for the first time. And that was where I finally was like, oh, we are calling it that. That is what I lived through. Because I didn't know. I just, like, was thinking whatever. And that was awful because, like, you know, I looked out and my dad's crying and I'm
crying.
Don't cry. It's okay. I cried a lot, so it's okay. I brought tissues because I assumed we were going to cry.
I never cry. I haven't cried in 6 months here.
Let's
You
cry.
need to cry.
I
Way to make her
cried
cry.
I cried driving here, like, just thinking about getting to retell this, because I think thinking back to that September was such a dark point, right? You're feeling all the things. I felt so guilty. I felt so bad. All I wanted to do was go back and comfort my ex-husband, because I don't want life to be hard for him. I don't want him to hurt, right? Like, it was so ingrained in me to love him and be there. And I then now became the one doing the hurt. It had to be done, right? And I knew I had to do it, but I am not, you know, we're nurturers, all of us in this room. And so it was literally going against my innate nature to sit up in a public forum and expose the darkest and frankly embarrassing. And those of us in this room, or anybody who's experienced marital trauma, not even marital, relationship trauma, that is such a huge piece of it, is the embarrassment that I let this happen to me. And now I'm telling other people I let it happen to me. Like, it's kind of embarrassing. And so super powerful, but it also projected for me resources, because the minute after my testimony and the ruling came down that we got to stay while this was all in process, they swept me away to this room, and immediately I was with counselors and people giving me resources, groups to go to, counselors for my kids, all of this education material to educate myself, because I think domestic violence is overused in the sense that it feels like a dirty word. Like, it feels like, you know, and women have said to me, well, he didn't openly punch you in the face.
I was literally just going to say.
So
I used to think domestic violence was like you got punched in the face. Like, I'm always like recounting things, and I'm like, but he never hit me, you know.
I know, how sad. But it's as if you're there's something called the wheel of power. And that was what they gave. I had never seen this image before. And if you're listening, go Google it. For anyone in any relationship, even friendships, even family relationships, this really solidified for me that, like, whoa, it's so much more encompassing than just physical stuff. And so that's kind of where this love of, like, I'm going to educate myself and I'm determined to come out on the other side of this as someone, I didn't know what, because in that point I'm in the thicks of depression and defeat, and thank goodness I was here, because my family would literally, like, help me with the kids so I could not leave bed for a whole day. Like, I mean, when I left Texas, I left my job, I left everything that was normal in the, like, my day to day, and I am very much like a type person where, like, I've got it under control.
And you're a teacher. You have a classroom of students relying for you to show up on Monday morning. It's not like you can work from home or do
literally
whatever.
Had to, like, resign from my job on the spot. It was just crazy. But that was, you know, looking back, like, I had to do it that way, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have left, I don't think. I kind of had to be in that all or nothing mindset. That was how I could get out. Because I had tried to do it, like, willy-nilly before, and then you're just still kind of playing house, and you're just kind of like, well, a lot of it is comfortable. It is safe in a way.
Well, because it's predictable. Yes. You know what to expect in this environment. Even though it's awful, your nervous system is used to it. And so I always say you have to become, like, an entirely new person to do something you've never done before.
Yeah.
And so, like, you are a rule follower. So to cross the state lines with your kids, that's a new you. Like,
oh my
you
gosh,
just broke,
guys.
you know, the ceiling of your old programming.
That is wild that you did that. I'm so proud of you.
It was really wild doing it. And I think it definitely put in, like, a shock. I feel almost bad for, like, doing that to my ex-husband in a way, because I know he never thought I would ever do anything,
but
right?
I think it's like the, like, shake he needed, because you threatened to leave and tried and all that, and that didn't do anything.
And us leaving, and I think he would say this too now, like, that we've had a year and a half behind us. Like, he's come such a long way, and he's living life with a lot more clarity and health and hope, I think, for his future that we didn't have when we were in that aspect of things.
Well, because how it has been set up with custody and all these things, like, he has to prioritize his health now to be a part of the kids' lives.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing for him.
It is. It is a good thing for him.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like, and him and I have a pretty good, you know, functioning relationship now, as well as it can be, right? Because emotions are still really hot, and like, co-parenting, whatever that looks like.
Parallel parenting,
all of the parenting styles, right? It's constantly a learning journey, and circumstances change, life doesn't stop, things keep moving forward, new people come in and out of your life, and then that changes the realities of what the post after looks like as well. So it's always changing and evolving, which is still scary too. Like, it's the best thing I ever did looking back, because I'm just so happy and healthy, and my kids are thriving, and really, at the end of the day, that's all that you really want.
Well, for instance, like, you're in a really happy, healthy relationship now, and that has evoked a whole new version of your ex that you have to deal with.
Yes, it is. And it's also a part of the after that I never thought I would get.
No, she didn't. Because
she's getting that.
I would like to recite how this party started. Your sister, Facebook messaged me and was like, my sister is running away from Dallas in 3 days, and I know you're getting a divorce, and, like, you guys should connect. And I was like, this is wild. Yes, I would love to be a part of the journry. And so then you came and we hung out that week, and you had so many resources from court for the kids and all that. And I remember it was, like, such a fog. But anyways, then whatever, maybe a month later, we're, like, talking about dating and stuff, and she's like, I'm, like, not going to date for a while. 4 months postpartum, like, we still have fupas.
Oh my gosh,
nipples. And so it's like, I can't be naked with a man. And then fast forward, like, only a couple months after that, she was like, I don't know who to choose. I have all these suitors. I'm having so much fun. And I was like, yes, this is what I need.
Because this goes back to where everything else comes before that woman, right? Like, where I was prioritizing everything else, and divorce in a way kind of forces you to be like, oh, now I do have sometimes time alone, like without the kids. And it's like, what do I do? Like, I was like sitting alone. I'm like, wow, I get to have a hobby, like, or maybe have a hobby. I get to do things and like meet new friends and do new things, like date.
And getting dick down in Dallas.
Obviously.
That's a song.
Obviously.
Yeah,
It is a
yes.
song.
And I thought it was like a spoof. It is a real
No, it's a
song.
real
I
song.
listened to
It's
it
a
twice
really
on my
good
way
song.
here. I'm like so amped
Super
up.
catchy. Super catchy. But I mean, I think that was just something in that moment. I think in my marriage, I was taught to feel I am not lovable. Or maybe not lovable, maybe not likable, not wanted, things like that.
For me, it was worthy of healthy love.
Yes.
Like, I'm like, something's wrong with me that I can't get the kind of relationship I'm looking for.
Well, and I didn't even know what that was.
You were so self-conscious when you first came here. Like, she was like, I hate my body.
Yes.
I'm not attractive. I don't look like I used to. I just had a baby and all this. Like, I feel like you felt so bad about yourself.
I did. I really did. And I even look at pictures, like the progression of time, and to pictures now where I'm like, whoa, I don't even recognize. Like I saw my sisters for the first time last night since summer, and they were like, you are just so light. Like, you just look like your energy just feels so good and you're so light. And I'm like, as I'm battling a cold and it's Chicago winter, so I'm over here like fighting for my life. But that's like the highest compliment is when I see people I haven't seen in a while and they're like, oh my gosh, you just look so happy. And I'm like, I am. Even with everything, like, there's still so many unknowns, so many ups and downs with whatever type of parenting we're trying to do with all of our ex-significant others. Like, but at the end of the day, I feel such peace and I feel just good. Overall.
I feel like you finally discovered you again, and that has been, kind of helping you
like
through.
Resources, holy moly, I did so many of those. You're gonna laugh, like those trauma workbooks that come across all of our feeds and TikTok pages and stuff, and I was buying them all. I was going to a coffee shop by myself, putting in headphones, probably embarrassing myself, crying, writing letters people aren't going to read, filling out these trauma workbooks because I wanted to understand. And I also wanted to ask myself that question of like, what is it about me that made me hard to love? That was like what I thought I could have. Because, it takes two to tango. And I did stay and I did allow what was happening to me. And that's something where I think those of us in like DV situations have to rectify, is that to a certain extent we are responsible for at least that part of knowing it's wrong and still choosing it, because
you teach people how to treat you.
Yes, you do. And so I wanted to make sure that before I went and got dick down in Dallas, I understood what it meant of what I wanted to be treated. And wasn't it in our group chat we were talking about the conditional versus unconditional? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I never want to hear anybody tell me ever again love is unconditional. Ever. Like, because it's okay to have a standard and a line that people cannot cross. Like, I was taught, I'm sure all of us were our generation, that like, it's unconditional. You just love them through whatever, the good and the bad, sickness and health. And I stood by that. And I was like, I will love you at your ugliest. I will love you when I know you're not loving yourself. And I realize now that that was not a good thing.
Because I remember that feeling too. I was like, that makes me such an amazing wife that I could love you through your darkest moments. But all the cost to that was self-betrayal. Yeah. And that's not healthy love. That's not the love story every person is worthy of receiving. Yeah. If you have to betray yourself in any capacity to receive that love, it's null and void. It's not it. Pack up your bags and leave. Yeah. Like, truly, that's like the line for me is self-betrayal or not.
Yeah. And so that's been like a lot of my after journey, is just trying to figure out what that, once I learned all the vocabulary,
which you are so good at, by the way. I'm like,
I've tried
you be an attorney?
Well, no, I did never. But it was hard for me to not know what to call it. And I find it's also hard for me because you guys know in those situations that are highly emotionally charged, I that was like the number one like thing my attorney kind of recommended against is like, no, it can be the saddest sob story you've ever heard and you've ever told if it's yours. But if it's not that, if you don't have the facts and like the vocabulary to make it more than that, then that's all it is. It's just a sad story, right? It doesn't really have any power. And and if you don't know how to like take your emotion and channel it in a way that other people can understand, then it's just you throwing a tantrum. And I don't know about you guys, when I'm so sick of being told like, well, you're just too emotional. You're just too sensitive. That's why you're upset about what happened in those scenarios. Well, no, actually, they were like...
It's an appropriate response.
It's an appropriate response to be upset, but that is
abuse.
Weaponized.
I think that word is so gross, and I didn't use it probably
hate it.
The last year of my marriage.
I even hate saying I would. Like, it's so bad.
But I remember a couple times, like, finally saying, like, it feels so abusive when you talk to me that way.
Yes.
And he was like, it was almost like nails on chalkboard for him, where he was like, why would you say that word?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an abuser. And I was like, well, yeah, no, you're not an abuser. Like, you're just really fucking mean. But
it's hard when we don't have another word or another term to call it, right? So I know I wasn't a fighter and I wasn't a runner, right? I wasn't a fleer. I was a fawner, which I think of women I meet and talk to, like, that's what most of us are. Meaning where our job is PR control. We are on how do I know what your pattern is, know what your triggers are, and how to disseminate that before it gets to the point of no return where someone's getting hurt, right? And like 80% of the time I could successfully do it, but there's still that 20% where you're like trying to defuse a bomb, and none of us know how to do that professionally.
And they only get more brazen with time. That's what I learned
which
in
is,
marriage.
again, part of our responsibility in it is like we are showing them that it's okay for them to get to that extreme because
there's no consequence.
Yes.
We stay.
Yeah.
Correct. So that's like been something now in the after where I'm like, no,
Which is, the term is codependency. When we're prioritizing someone else's experience and emotions over ours, that gives us self-worth or fixing, power that we can cushion their life for them at our expense. That's codependency.
And it's so hard to unlearn. I still
so
do it.
Hard.
This podcast, I'm doing it. Like I've had people be like, don't go on that podcast. Don't tell your story. Right?
I haven't told my family.
Scary.
They still don't know because I already know they're going to be like,
what are they going to think? What about them? What about them?
Like,
I'm constantly asking myself, like, is he going to be okay? Is he going to be all right? Dating. I was like, oh my gosh. It really wasn't until he started dating where I was like, okay, that to me, that is giving me, like he's dating, he's out there. I can open that door of maybe. And I thought I was going into dating thinking I was just going to get my needs met. You know what I mean? Which I did. But then it ended up...
Yeah, I thought you were going back to your college days.
Me
but all
too.
of a sudden you were like, I'm in love with one of them.
I know.
What is this? And I just love it so much for you.
He loves it too. He's excited. He's like, I made it through to the top of the pack. I was like, good job.
And like, how amazing though to have a man that like celebrates you finally and treats you the way you deserve to be treated all this time.
It's hard. The normalcy of it is so hard. One of my best friends, she's just got remarried, and similar to me, like wasn't ever going to get remarried. Her husband was, overseas serving and had infidelity, literally asked for a divorce over an email. Right? Like, so she
got a girl in one of our groups.
Yeah.
We know about those ones.
She can come in too. She'll be online. But, right? Like, she's similar to me where she never thought that door was going to be open. She was out there just trying to get her needs met too. And then sure enough, we have these healthy loves. And now both of us text each other and they're the constant want to almost push it away. Or it's so normal. It's so calm where I'm like, oh, we don't fight. Like,
we were waiting for the shoe to drop. Remember the first couple months, like, I was, like, trying to be like, woo, I'm not a scorned woman, but I was, like, being positive about it. And
I was like, what is wrong with him? It's gonna happen.
Yeah, you were like,
gonna happen.
He's an alien, and I think, I don't know, like, is the other shoe gonna drop?
We're 7 months in, and I still wait sometimes. And the great thing is about him is he lets me feel safe enough to express that. And so when I am feeling that like overwhelming urge to be like, is it too good? should it be bad? Maybe I should break up with him before it gets bad. Like, I will voice that, and he, like, hears it, acknowledges it, and, like, reassures me that, like, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna get bad. And that's been very healing of, like, being able to express how I'm feeling, and it's not a bad thing. And it's like,
I think that's such a testament to how deep it is in our nervous systems that style of relationship was all we knew. Because even 7 months, like, you're healthy, you're happy, you're thriving with him, and your nervous system is still like, nope, this loop is still running. Like, the software program, like, still is telling me in my brain that this is how relationships go. So it's going to happen with him too. And I think just the longer you just keep doing the pattern of a healthy relationship, you just kind of weed those old bugs out.
And I try and always am doing the work just on my own. Like, right, I still have my own therapist. I see individually. I still try and, you know, like, we have our group and stuff that's a huge point of focus. I still read all the material on my past trauma because I don't want to become the red flag, or I don't want to become the person with the baggage that can't be unpacked. Like, I know plenty of women who have been divorced a long, long while and can't let it go still, and they can't let their other people be happy. And it's funny because sometimes I'll meet women and they're like, don't you just want bad things and revenge and da-da-da? And I'm like, no. That side of it, when I was here...
Because that's not good for your kids.
That's just so...
And yourself.
Heavy. It doesn't feel good when you're in that.
That's not who we're trying to be.
And trust me, it's hard sometimes because the anger and, you know, it does rear its head, and it does make me want, like, to go back to the dark place. But I really, really try to prioritize that, like, the healthier and the more, like, stable I can be, then, I don't know, maybe that'll rub off on all the other relationships I have with everyone else. But I
think you get what you put out, too. If we don't want bad things for them and we're not actively trying to ruin their future, then that's going to come back to us too.
The hard side effect of divorce, because I almost feel like if you want the divorce, people automatically are like, well, you just don't want them to be happy and you want them to be bad and struggle. And it's like, no. Like, I talked myself out of leaving so many times because the last thing in the world I want is for my ex-spouse to struggle. Like, I literally spent 10 years trying to make sure he never struggled, like, trying to take away all the demons. And so it's hard to, now when you prioritize yourself,
it feels selfish.
It feels selfish, and it can look selfish from the outside world. Like, I'm the taker, right? I'm taking away his normal, his everyday, his this. And because, you know, so much of what happened with us is very intense and very private, it's not public knowledge. So, right, from the outside, it does look like she just packed up the kids and stole them from you. And that, because if you're not aware of all of the outside, which who would be, right? Everyone has private stuff.
Fantastic. I know. Around town. You know?
Wait, I want to go back to something you said about your new relationship. And how when you have the concerns, he calms you and gives you that reassurance. And that builds intimacy, and that you heal in safe relationships because you have this loop that's coming up, and then he is able to, like, take you off the loop.
And let me tell you, that emotional intimacy really increases all the other types of intimacy.
Wait, but
let's just say it.
But the other night we were out to dinner with other divorcees, and we were having an amazing time. This one girl's in a new relationship.
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, it's been like 2 years.
The 2-year one?
Yeah. And she had said something that, like, her ex had a gambling problem, and this new guy was going to poker night with his friends. And so...
Oh, boy.
She was very...
I'm, like, already anxious for her, and I don't even know her.
But, so she was rightfully triggered.
She's feeling all the things.
And I don't think dealt with it in the healthiest way with how she discharged the trigger.
And she's aware of that. She admitted. She said, like, I have so much baggage. She just got divorced. But they finalized after 3 years, 2 months ago. So it's so fresh.
That is so long.
She is also going through, like, death, loss of a parent in the last 2 months. So, like, she has a lot of, like, emotional things going on.
Yeah.
And so...
But his reaction was, like, I'm not, like... this is your ex's shit. This isn't my shit. Like,
Don't
this is on you.
On me.
Yeah.
You can, like, figure this out. I'm not here to,
Which is true, but that's not the healthiest male masculine container that she needs to heal that loop. Like, all that does is set that loop on fire instead of closing it. And so that's not going to build intimacy or safety or healing. Like, that kind of connection after such a untrustworthy, toxic relationship that she just got out of. And so it's very important when you're dating again, you have to heal the parts of you that are attracted to that kind of up and down hormonal toxicity relationship, because the loops will still keep looping if you just find another partner that's similar with.
And it's hard because you seek it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you crave it in
familiar.
a way. And I find myself, like, still getting the hits from, like, sometimes I'll walk into the opening with my ex-husband. Like, he'll open that door, and I'll sometimes, like, because it's so new, right? We've only been divorced or separated for a year and a half and divorced for, gosh, I don't know, like 8 months now. And it's so easy to walk into that door and walk into the power struggle, walk into the fight again, because it's so familiar, right? It's like what we do.
Yeah.
So it's constantly checking in with yourself, constantly. I mean, the amount of self-reflection I do is like, I feel like my new significant other and I, we have this running joke where he'll be like, what tabs do you have open? Because I one time described it to him as, like, I feel like a computer screen with 8,000 tabs, and I'm constantly just like through all the tabs in my brain at all times. And, like, that's the best way for me to try and describe, like, okay, I need to close that tab. I need to just, like, let it go, walk away, and, like, maybe let myself have it for a minute, and then.
But to go back to the, like, walking through the door, you know, with your ex of, like, I want to engage in these old familiar patterns. Healing isn't just like this upward, you know, trajectory where you just never touch anything that used to drag you down. Like, it's an upward spiral into ascension. So we're revisiting old situations as new versions of ourselves that, like, maybe this time you want to open the door and go down that, and maybe you go into it for a minute, whereas last time it was half your day was ruined. And then the next time it's just be one comment that you know, if he says something, that's a jab, and then you jab back, but that's it. And then the next time you're like, I'm not even going to touch the pan. I know it's hot. Yeah. Like, so
the recovery time just keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter over time.
But my ex will always say, like, you're not healed, you know, like, that's a you problem, all this stuff. Like, still says this. Yeah. And it's like, no, I'm not healed. Guess what? The damage and all the things that I went through were so intense.
It might take a little bit of time,
It's going to take time.
You ruined my life.
And the fact that I'm even where I'm at now shows how much I've healed and are continuing to heal. But it is not this one and done process. Yeah. Like, it's a constant invitation to just keep, like, reparenting yourself and giving yourself the things that the relationship and your parents never gave you. Like, we're conscious and aware, and we're showing up for ourselves now to heal those parts of ourselves one day at a time.
Well, and I think that's kind of what sped up my, like, urgency feeling of wanting to be in this after part, because I was like, this can't be it. This can't be the best that it is. Like, I have so much life to live. I have so much life ahead of me. My kids are so young. Like, there has to be more out there that we can have access to. And oh man, am I so glad I am, like, asking myself those questions, because I never thought I could be where I'm at today.
No, you have, like, leaps and bounds. It's amazing.
Never. I thought I'd be in the same cycle forever. And I think now it's important because I just want other people to know that you can get out.
Like, it's possible.
It feels impossible. And even it feels impossible some days still, where situations will happen and I'm like, this is my bad karma for leaving or whatever, right? Like, we want to be hard on ourselves, but man, it's so worth it to get to the other side. And women just have women, right? Like, women supporting women and women being around women, like, with similar stories and similar experiences, like, that's changed the trajectory of my life. You guys, I'm sure, know, like, people who were in my life with marriage are not anymore. Whole friend groups. Like, I mean, we're talking like mass exodus to make way for all of this new that comes. That's so much, teaching me so many things. And you guys have taught me. I mean, being a part of this whole journey and all, you guys have literally been with me since day one. Like Gina said, we met the week I left. So, like, you've seen the whole...
Fast friends. We were
fast
let's
friends. We were like,
let's together and a play date.
Had a play date. We did. We definitely did.
And we took a selfie, obviously, to document it.
Obviously.
We're going to have to do a side-by-side of that.
I'm just not on the social media game. I really need to step it up.
For us in the private collection. These are all for the private
Gina
collection.
takes a scrapbook of every moment for her own personal
enjoyment.
enjoyment.
It.
Yeah.
We do love it because she always has the pictures.
She sends the receipts of every moment
of them Friday night, living their lives, looking amazing, and they're like, "I love this so much." I'm like, "I know."
Oh my gosh, I love
An
it.
unofficial photographer.
Okay, to wrap this up.
Oh, our time's to
I
end.
know that literally flew 1 hour. That's insane.
That's insane.
What advice would you give to someone that's trying to choose between staying or going? And
I guess then I would challenge you to ask the same question that got me out of, like, if you had to tell someone or a friend came to you to ask advice, and if your advice to them or to your children would be to leave or cut and run the other direction, or like, whoa, yeah, that's not normal to go
or
through.
Like, call the police.
Or call the police, which you would think is obvious, but to a lot of us it's not. That if that's what you would give to a stranger, then that's your answer.
And then one step after that, what's the next step you take when you're scared to make the jump? What is the fuel that...
It's so hard. It's so hard because so many of us don't find ourselves in positions where we have access to resources. But I would say the next step after that is to document, but that can also get people hurt. So you have to be careful. And then the second after that would be find anyone that you feel like you can reach out to help pull you out in that moment, even if it's a stranger. I didn't realize there's so many public resources available. So I would do some research with, we hate to use the word abuse, we hate to use the word domestic violence because they're dirty words and they have a lot of connotation to them. But getting on Google, Googling places to help and things and resources like that will change your life. Because especially if you live in Illinois, like a blue state, there's so many more resources to the public that are free or very private, meaning that it's completely anonymous and confidential. So if that's a position where you're afraid and don't have anywhere to go, I would go that route. And obviously, start your own First Wives Club.
Yeah, I think just confiding in your family and friends. I
Yes.
think once you open up to the people closest to you, they want to help you.
It's a mirror. It's the mirror.
So you don't have to be afraid. I feel like, I'm in 82 million Facebook groups, and I, at least once a week in any one of my 40 groups that I'm a part of, somebody will comment that they want to leave their husband and they want to get divorced, but they've been a stay-at-home mom for 10 years and they don't know what to do, and so they're just like going to stay. And I think if you're constantly worried about like the finances and the kids and all that, like those are fears that every woman has. And I think once you don't have to have like an uber rich uncle to get divorced. Like I think once you start telling your closest family and friends if you do need help along the way, and then you also learn about more recent resources through people. It's not like you're getting loans from Uncle Jerry every week to get divorced, but maybe Uncle Jerry can bring you to the courthouse or to, find some public resources or whatever it is. It's like the more people you connect with, and all that really opens the doors to get to the other side.
And everything is figure outable, I think, when you're on the right path. Like, if you say you have no money and your ex controls all of it, well, you can file and they will eventually be responsible for your lawyer bills if you're not making any income. And like when you're married, it's joint assets. And so they will be responsible for that stuff. And you will get alimony. You will get child support. Yeah. It's not like you're going to be left with nothing.
Well, and I think like the money sometimes it feels like the biggest thing when in actuality it ends up being the smallest.
Freedom is the number one
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Like, and once you get a taste of it and you allow yourself to like envision a different future for yourself, the momentum that carries you through from the next point to the next point to the next point, just, it's like a snowball that just keeps building and gaining speed. And then you're like, oh my God, that old me, like, I don't even recognize her. I can't even believe she was going to settle for that version of her life.
I know. We only get one.
Yes.
And honestly, you sprinkle that money to your attorney every month, so you don't notice it. Like if somebody, my friend the other night was like, I can't believe I spent
Unless it's your divorce.
Because
Your divorce bills were fucking huge.
Mine was good, but my friend that just finished her 3-year divorce, she's like, I can't believe I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years, and I just paid $70,000 like for a divorce. And I think at the beginning, if it was like, hey, it's going to cost you $70,000, you'd be like, that's insane. I'm not going anywhere. But if you're like a couple, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month, like I'll do it, you know. And so now she's like, I'm so glad, and she's debt free, and they sold their house, and I think like her parents kind of helped her a little bit, and whatever it is, like you get through it. Interest-free credit cards, I don't know, whatever it is. Loans from Uncle Jerry.
But there's no cost to freedom.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like you can't think of like what that price tag's going to be at the end because you won't do it. And in fact, when we were having our little divorce party Friday night and we were chatting with this guy group, one of the guys was like, I spent $24,000 in 6 months when I lived in California, and I had to move back. And we're just looking at each other like, bud, we just had almost 6-figure divorces. We don't care. That's peanuts, buddy.
He chump change.
Yeah, I was like, I hope you have fun in California. We're having fun getting divorced. Whatever.
Living our best fucking lives.
The best.
The best. So on that note,
thanks for having me,
thanks
guys.
for being so open and vulnerable.
So excited.
We're so proud of you.
Thanks.
It's just the beginning for just
all the
good things.
For all of us, it's just the beginning. And I think that's, like I said at the beginning, there's so many more of us out there than I thought. And because we're so trained to be silent, it's so scary to still tell our story. Even if what we're telling isn't anything like bad, it's just that it's like there's fear and truth, right? And
I think vulnerability invites more vulnerability.
Yeah.
And so if you open up to someone, they're probably going to open up back to you. And we're all just walking each other home.
Yeah.
You know, we don't.
At the end of the day,
sharing stories is like
that's what we're doing. That's what you guys are doing. You're having people share stories.
I want someone to walk me home. Man.
Me too, girl. I gotta go.
2026 is your year.
I know.
This. Okay. On that note, love you, ladies.
Love you guys.